Why is it that when we try to make someone else happy, we often end up doing the opposite? Think about it for a moment. You buy them gifts, you say the right words, you try to anticipate their needs, and yet somehow there is still dissatisfaction. They may smile politely, they may say thank you, but deep down, the feeling doesn't last. And for you, the one who's trying, there is often a quiet frustration, a hidden disappointment, a subtle resentment that begins to grow. Why does this happen? Why does the effort to create happiness for another so often bring sorrow to both? Krishnamurti once said that the moment you make another person's happiness your responsibility, you also create dependence and expectation. And wherever expectation exists, disappointment is not far behind. Let's examine this carefully. When you want to make someone happy, what are you really doing? Are you giving freely out of love? Or are you projecting your own idea of what happiness should look like? Most of the time, without realizing it, we impose our version of joy onto another. You think, if I do this, they'll feel loved. If I sacrifice this, they'll feel secure. But what if their heart longs for something completely different? What if your attempt at making them happy is actually a subtle way of controlling them, shaping them into the image you carry in your mind? This is where suffering begins. Because your gesture, no matter how kind, is not neutral. It carries with it an unspoken demand. I've done this for you, so please be happy now. Please show me it was worth it. And when they don't respond in the way you expect, you feel wounded. You begin to think they are ungrateful. And the other person, sensing this unspoken pressure, begins to feel guilty, or inadequate, or even resentful. What was meant to bring joy turns into a silent contract of obligation. Do you see how subtle and dangerous this is? Let's make it concrete. Imagine a husband who works long hours, not only to provide for his family, but because he believes this sacrifice will make his wife and children happy. He comes home exhausted, convinced that his effort is proof of love. But the wife, instead of feeling joy, feels loneliness. The children, instead of feeling secure, feel abandoned. The very act meant to create happiness becomes the seed of unhappiness, and the husband in turn feels betrayed. He wonders, can't they see what I'm doing for them? But they can see. It's just not what their hearts were asking for. His effort, however sincere, was rooted in an idea of happiness, not in actual listening, not in actual presence. Now let's turn it inward. Why do we try so hard to make others happy? If we look deeply, we'll find that it's often because we ourselves are uncomfortable with their sadness, their dissatisfaction, their pain. We want to fix it, not because we understand it, but because we can't bear it. And in that very movement, we are already escaping our own discomfort. We are saying, I'll do whatever it takes to silence your sorrow, so I don't have to face the mirror of my own. In that sense, our attempt to make them happy is not truly about them. It's about us. Krishnamurti pointed out that love is not about creating happiness in another. Love is not about sacrifice, duty, or obligation. Love is presence. Love is understanding. Love is the freedom for the other to be exactly as they are, without your interference, without your manipulation, even if your manipulation comes wrapped in kindness. The truth is, when you stop trying to make another person happy, you finally allow them the space to discover happiness for themselves. And paradoxically, that is where real joy is found, because it is not borrowed, not forced, not demanded. It arises naturally, but you might ask, does that mean I should do nothing? Should I stop caring altogether? Not at all. To care for another, to support them, to share moments of beauty, that is natural. What is unnatural is the effort, the strain, the subtle demand that says, I must make you happy. When you love without demand, your actions flow spontaneously. You cook a meal, not to earn gratitude, but because you enjoy sharing. You listen, not to fix but to truly hear. You hold their hand, not to erase their sadness, but to be with them in it. And in that space, something extraordinary happens. Both of you are free. Free to be yourselves. free to experience joy or sorrow without fear, free to meet each other in truth, not in expectation. So the next time you catch yourself trying to make someone happy, pause. Ask yourself, am I doing this out of love or out of fear? Out of freedom or out of control? Am I giving because it is natural or because I'm afraid of what will happen if I don't? These questions matter because the answers reveal whether what you call love is truly love or just a disguised form of self-interest. Let's look a little deeper. When you try to make someone happy, you are not just acting outwardly, you are also building an inner image of yourself as the giver, the one who provides joy. And when that image is not validated, when the other person does not reflect it back, you feel hurt. This reveals something crucial, that what we often call love is actually self-image in disguise. You want them to smile because their smile proves your worth. You want them to feel grateful because their gratitude confirms your effort. Without that response, your sense of self begins to shake. Can you see how dangerous this is? It means your happiness depends entirely on another person's reaction. Krishnamurti would say that such dependence is not love, it is bondage. If you are tied to the other's reaction, you are a prisoner of their moods, their emotions, their needs, and they in turn become a prisoner of your expectations. This is why relationships so often turn into subtle battles, filled with guilt and resentment. Each person is secretly trying to control the other's happiness. Each is silently demanding, "Give me the reaction I need so I can feel secure." And yet, love cannot exist in such a contract. Love dies the moment there is demand. Think about the countless parents who spend their lives working, sacrificing, giving everything for their children, hoping that one day the children will say, "I am happy because of you." But often, the children grow up carrying a heavy burden. They feel obligated to be happy, obligated to succeed, obligated to repay the sacrifices. And with that obligation comes guilt, stress, even anger. The parent's effort, however noble, becomes a chain around the child's heart. The child cannot simply live. They must live to satisfy an expectation. And the parent, watching from the sidelines, often wonders why all the sacrifice has not brought the joy they longed for. The cycle of sorrow continues. So what does it mean then, to love without trying to make another happy? It means seeing the other person as they are, not as you wish them to be. It means recognizing that their joy, their sorrow, their growth, these belong to them, not to you. You can walk beside them, you can share in their journey, but you cannot walk for them. You cannot carry their happiness in your hands and place it neatly in their lap. If you try, you will only end up distorting both their life and your own. But here is the paradox. When you stop trying to make others happy, when you let go of control, you actually create the conditions for real happiness to arise. Because in that freedom, there is no demand. In that freedom, each person is allowed to be authentic, to feel what they feel, to discover joy not as a gift from another, but as something arising from within. And only happiness that arises from within is real. All else is temporary, borrowed, fragile. Now, this does not mean withdrawing or becoming cold. It does not mean saying, "It's your problem, not mine." That is indifference, and indifference is not love. Love is still deeply connected, deeply attentive, deeply compassionate, but it carries no agenda. Love says, "I am here with you, not to fix you, not to change you, not to make you into what I think you should be, but simply to be with you." From that space, actions flow naturally. Sometimes it's a kind word. Sometimes it's a moment of silence. Sometimes it's a sacrifice. But whatever it is not calculated, not weighed against expectation. It is free. And in freedom, there is beauty. So can you look at your own relationships and see where you are trying to manufacture happiness? Can you see where you are subtly demanding gratitude, appreciation, acknowledgement? Can you see where your kindness is mixed with control? These are uncomfortable questions, but they are necessary if we are to discover what love really is. Because until we understand this, our efforts, however well-intentioned, will continue to breed sorrow. So perhaps the real question is not, how can I make you happy? But rather, can I love you without condition? Because if love is genuine, happiness will take care of itself. It will arise naturally, like sunlight breaking through clouds. And if sorrow comes, love will stay present too, without trying to push it away or disguise it with forced cheer. That kind of presence is far more powerful than any attempt to create happiness. Krishnamurti reminds us that love is not about effort, not about striving, not about shaping another's experience. Love is freedom, the freedom to feel, to grow, to discover. And when two people meet in that freedom, there is no demand, no disappointment, no subtle resentment. There is only the beauty of connection without chains. So the next time you feel the urge to make someone happy, pause. Ask yourself, am I acting from love or from fear? Am I giving freely or am I secretly hoping for something in return? In that pause, you may discover the deepest truth, that true happiness can never be given or taken. It can only blossom from within, in the soil of freedom and love.